the 2006 NCAA Highlight Show, Week 3, with your host, I am Sporticus. Alright, so Week 3 is in the books. Let's go over some games that happened this week. Thursday night games, we had Middle Tennessee, couple big scores. The thing with replay games that you don't get the where coaches take the foot off the gas. So you get a lot of high-scoring games. Middle Tennessee State beat Tennessee Tech 80-3. Clint Marks threw for 208 yards and 3 touchdowns. New Mexico State scored 84 as Chase Holbrook keeps up his high passing totals, 494 yards passing and 7 touchdowns. He also rushed for a score as they blanked Texas Southern 84-0. And then North Carolina wins over Furman 37-6. Ronnie McGill had 161 yards rushing. West Virginia tops Maryland 45-17 as Patrick White threw for 153 and 2 scores and then ran for 126 yards and 2 more. Then on to Friday's game. It was Toledo dropping one at home to the Kansas Jayhawks. Kansas goes to 3-0, 44-20. John Cornish ran for 192 yards and 3 scores. Saturday games. Alabama wins at their first game of the season, 40-10 over Louisiana Monroe. John Parker Wilson passed for 151 yards and 3 scores. Arizona tops Stephen F. Austin 30-7. Adam Austin passed for 219 yards and 2 scores. LSU, and probably one of the best games of the day. Let's take a deeper look into this game. LSU wins at 13-12 over Auburn. Defensive battle. Matt Flynn throws for 165 yards and a touchdown, including the winning score to Dwayne Bowe. 13 seconds left in the game. Flynn was also the leading rusher, 17 carries for 94 yards. So then Doucette had 4 catches for 34, and Bowe, with that 19-yard score, with 13 seconds remaining, wins it for the LSU. They needed the extra point first, but they got it and win it by 1. Big win for the LSU Tigers. Cox threw for 127 yards and 1 touchdown. Let's take a look at the totals. Look at that. Auburn had just 249 yards in the game. 8 penalties. They were sacked 4 times. Good defensive effort from the LSU Tigers. As LSU vaults to the top of the teams to watch out for here in the upcoming standings. God, I can't think of words here today. Washington State beats Baylor 28-10. 3 touchdowns from Dwight Tardy. Brigham Young upends Boston College. They go to 3-0. John Beck throws for 3 scores. California all over Portland State 53-6. Deshaun Jackson had 6 catches for 87 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then returns, he had another touchdown in the game. Let's see what kind of touchdown it was. 87-yard punt return for Cal. He had 9 returns, averaged 28.6 on punt returns. And then kick returns, it was just punt return. He had 9 punt returns in the game. Central Michigan upends Akron 37-29. Luke Getsy had 274 yards and 3 touchdowns for Akron, I believe. No. Yeah, for Akron. What happened to Lefebvre? Arizona State knocks off Colorado 21-14. Terrence Wheatley had a huge day, 2 sacks and a forced fumble. He was a menace. Connecticut beats Wake Forest. 3 touchdowns from Terry Cawley. East Carolina beats Memphis. 2 touchdowns from Philip Henry. Florida International upends Bowling Green. Bowling Green falls to 0-3. 2 returns in the game from. That's how they won it. 78-yard punt return, and then another 80-yard punt return won the game. All scoring happened in the first quarter. What a wild game that was. So Florida International upsets Bowling Green. Clemson all over Florida State. Cullen Harper threw for 258 yards and 3 touchdowns. Georgia beats UAB 21-14. Stafford had to throw a late touchdown pass to win the game against a 0-3 UAB team. So not their best showing of the year. Let's take a look at it closer here. Stafford just wasn't very good, 115 yards. Lumpkin had a good day running the ball. They were actually out yarded by the Alabama Birmingham. Not a good showing for the Georgia Bulldogs. But they win it 21-14. Georgia Tech goes to 3-0, 36-7. Calvin Johnson had 7 catches for 100 yards and 2 scores as Georgia Tech goes to 3-0. Hawaii, Colt Brennan throws for 447 yards and 4 scores as they beat UNLV 52-14. Houston all over Grambling State. Kevin Kolb, 352 yards and 3 scores. Idaho beats Idaho State 27-14. Brian Flowers scores 3 times. Illinois upends Syracuse. Juice Williams threw for 217 yards and 2 scores and ran for 74 more. Indiana, big over Southern Illinois. Kellen Lewis throws for 273 yards and 3 scores and ran for another score. Iowa beats their rival Iowa State 44-14. Jake Christensen, 360 yards and 2 scores. Kansas State tops Marshall as Ahmad Bradshaw runs for 111 yards and 2 scores. Kentucky beats Mississippi 28-6. Keenan Burton had a monster day, 15 catches for 160 yards and 4 touchdowns. Louisiana Tech over Nicholls State 35-21. Chris Pugh had 3 sacks and a forced fumble in that game. Miami falls big to Louisville 45-10. Brian Brom throws for 362 yards and 4 touchdowns. Miami over Kent State 20-14. Minnesota 41-6 over Temple. Brian Caputo throws for 222 yards and 2 scores. Mississippi State wins at 49-14 over Tulane. Derek Pegway, I think that's how you pronounce it, had a touchdown return in this game. Colorado State upends Nevada. Billy Ferris throws for 158 yards and a score and rushes for 2 more scores. Chase Daniel leads the Missouri Tigers over New Mexico 31-24. He throws for 269 and a touchdown. Northern Illinois wins at 34-12 over Buffalo. Garrett Wolf had a big day, 177 yards and a touchdown. Eastern Michigan falls to Northwestern 38-10. Terrell Sutton rushed for 114 yards and 3 scores. Then we had our game, Michigan 24-14 over Notre Dame. Ohio State comes back strong with a 45-10 victory over Cincinnati. Troy Smith, 173 yards and 2 scores. He rushed for 90 more and another score. Oklahoma State, 63-7 over Florida Atlantic. Bobby Reed, 3 scores. Total accounted for 5 scores, 3 passing and 2 rushing. Oklahoma falls to Oregon. Oregon goes to 3-0. Dennis Dixon throws for 263 yards and 3 touchdowns and rushes for 97 more. Youngstown State falls to Penn State 42-33. Tony Hunt ran for 234 yards and 5 scores for the Nittany Lions. Pittsburgh beats Michigan State 28-26. Tyler Palko throws for 2 scores in the win for Pittsburgh. Purdue 45-30 over Ball State. Curtis Painter 357 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also ran one in as well. Rutgers blanks Ohio. Ray Rice rushed for 132 yards and 2 scores. South Carolina wins big over Wofford 45-0. Corey Boyd 2 scores on 137 yards. Southern Methodist wins 40-7 over Sam Houston State. 4 touchdowns for Justin Willis. Southern Miss 30-6 over North Carolina State. 2 scores for Damian Fletcher. Navy all over Stanford. David Maloney was huge. 3 sacks for the midshipmen. Texas Tech beats TCU. Graham Harrell, 295 yards and 2 scores. Florida goes to 3-0 as they beat Tennessee 22-19. Let's take a deep look at this game. Florida was down 19-0. 19-0. Oh, no, they weren't. They were down 13-0 until the 4th quarter. They scored. Tennessee actually went up 19-7, but 2 touchdowns later, Florida wins it. Percy Harvin makes a 25-yard touchdown grab with 33 seconds left, and then a 2-point conversion. Put them up 22-19. Wow. So there you have it. Texas had this one, or Tennessee had this one in the bag, and Florida, Chris Leak, 383 yards, overcame 2 interceptions in the game to lead the Florida Gators back. So this might have been the game of the week right here. What a game this turned out to be. Big comeback for the Gators as they move to 3-0. Texas beats Rice 28-14. Jamal Charles, 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. Army blanked by Texas A&M. Javorsky Lane rushed for 118 yards and 3 scores. Tulsa blanks North Texas 35-0. Paul Smith threw for 194 yards and 2 scores, and then rushed for another score. Southern Florida beats Central Florida 35-28 in a high-scoring affair. 2 touchdowns from Jomisti, and he also rushed for 133 yards and a touchdown. Nebraska just gets crushed by USC. John David Booty threw for 304 yards and a touchdown. Utah upset by their rival, Utah State. Riley Nelson threw for 176 yards and 3 touchdowns to get the game-winning field goal in overtime to win it. In the OT, Utah State scores to win this game. Arkansas drops one to Vanderbilt. Chris Nixon threw for 268 yards and 2 touchdowns. Western Michigan upsets Virginia 13-10. Amir Ismail, couple sacks. Virginia Tech 21-9 over Duke. Sean Glennon threw for 3 scores. Washington drops a tough one to Fresno State at home, 38-29. Dwayne White rushed for 97 yards and a touchdown. Wisconsin big over San Diego State. John Stocco threw for 272 and 4 scores. And Wyoming falls at home to Boise State 20-7. Ian Johnson 90 yards rushing with 2 touchdowns. So let's go look at the highlights of the day. See if there was. Oh, this isn't for the day. This is for leaders is what we're looking at. So let's look at offense best so far. We'll go top 5. Chase Holbrook leads the NCAA in passing for New Mexico State, 1,300 yards passing. Brian Brom, number 2. Curtis Painter for Purdue. Chris Leak sneaks into the top 5. Passing rating, Jamarcus Russell for LSU. Let's look at touchdowns. Chase Holbrook, again, 16 touchdowns in 3 games. It's crazy. Rushing, Steve Slayton for West Virginia leads the nation in rushing, 637 yards. John Cornish for Kansas. And then P.J. Hill for Wisconsin. Damian Fletcher. And Michael Hart is in that top 5. Touchdowns, Slayton also has 10 scores. Receiving, Shannon Woods for Texas Tech has 28 catches. Casey Flair has 28. Samardzija with 27. Keenan Burton for Kentucky has 27. And Dorian Bryant for Purdue has 25. Yardage, Earl Bennett for Vanderbilt has 424 yards. Sidney Rice, Donnie Avery for Houston. Defense, interceptions, Colt Brooks for, I believe it's Boise State. The whole top 5 have 3 interceptions. Sacks, Brian Madison for Iowa has 7 sacks. Mitch King has 6. And then last 3 with 5. All right. So let's look at the standings. Or actually, we want to look at the, this is what we want to look at, summary. There we go. So again, the top 40. Little off, but we'll go take a look at it here. USC tops at number 1 with a 2-0 record. Oregon State up there still with 2-0. They got Brigham Young up there. Michigan is in the top 5. Florida is number 6. Connecticut, 7. LSU, Georgia Tech. So slowly but surely it's starting to weed out some of the... But you still got some teams, though, like Connecticut, should no way should they be number 7 with a 2-0 record. So that's about it. Today, as far as 300-yard passing, Chase Holbrook led the way with 494 yards. Colt Brennan, 447. Chris Leak's big comeback for the Florida Gators is up there. 100-yard rusher, Tony Hunt leads the way with 234 yards. Steve Slayton had 220. Terry Cawley for the Connecticut had 215. Cornish had 192. Michael Hart was up there with 145. 2 interception. Reggie Doucette had 2. Derek Pegway and Joe Stelmacher. Sacks, Chris Pugh had 3 for Louisiana Tech. Navy, David Mahoney had 3. And Chris Harrington had 3. Chandler Williams gets the special teams MVP. He had 2 touchdown returns against Bowling Green to win it for Florida International in an upset of the week. Oh, no. I think that's it. These are the leaders for the season. All right, so there you have it for week 3. Week 4 coming up. Let's see where Michigan's see what kind of games we have. USC against Arizona. That might be a decent game. Arizona State, California. Utah State, fresh off their upset of Utah, take on Brigham Young. Kentucky and Florida. Georgia, Colorado. Iowa taking on Illinois. There it is, Wisconsin. Michigan opens up the Big Ten season playing 3-0 Wisconsin. So a tough game there as Notre Dame travels to Michigan State. So Wisconsin, Michigan will be up next for the Wolverines. Penn State against Ohio State should be a good one. And I might have missed one, but that's pretty much the main ones to look forward to. So thanks for watching. We'll see you for week 4. Have a good night.